A 10-point manifesto to a plan anchored in 6 pillars and another in 10 steps to freedom. 3 of the 4 presidential candidates have shared with Kenyans their vision to transform the country. With 37 days to go to Election Day, who will sway a majority of Kenya's 22 million registered voters with their grand promises? Are their commitments practical and achievable? Well, joining me now to unpack all this are Steve Biko Wafula, a market and investment analyst and entrepreneur, and Ruth Bolo, chairperson for the International Relations Committee at the Young Democrat Union of Africa, joining via Zoom. Thank you both for joining me tonight. Let's begin on the subject of governance. And of course, a lot was said by the Deputy President this week when he launched his manifesto. He committed to depoliticize and remove weaponization of the criminal justice system to fight corruption. On the Azimio side, they've always been saying we have zero tolerance for corruption, and battling corruption is ensuring efficiency of public service delivery. So making that linkage between, development and dealing with corruption. But when you look at how the 2 front-runner camps have tackled this issue of corruption, Steve, do you feel one is convincing more over the other?
I think first and foremost, thank you for the opportunity. The biggest challenge that is facing Kenyans is the fact that these manifestos actually mean nothing at the end of the day, because they lack that legal binding aspect that will actually compel the leading presidential candidate to keep it. So at the end of the day, it forces us to look at the caliber or the character of the person promising what they're planning to deliver. And we both know that this election is actually very interesting because for the last 1 month, there's been a lot of talk. And of the 3 candidates, we've seen that, one, there's possibility of a runoff because Wajakoya's promise to kill corrupt people.
Hanging the corrupt
has actually
or
really
suspending the constitution.
But the Azimio side takes the lead because they inspire trust, they inspire confidence. And we've all seen what the picking of Martha Karua, who we know for the last 2 decades in her political career. She's been very firm in terms of integrity. She stood up against the late President Moi. She stood up against the late Kibaki. And she's been very vocal in terms of saying that she will actually, her main role if elected will be to deal with issues of governance and corruption. So Azimio side inspires confidence and trust. And this makes it easier for Kenyans to actually look at them better. On the other side, the Kenya Kwanza team, there have been a lot of issues. There have been a lot of rumors here and there about the character of their presidential candidate. So it leaves a lot to be desired from what they're promising, because he's known as Mr. 6 months. And I think my son will ask me, Daddy, you were promised laptops. We didn't get them. I'm a keen person on entrepreneurship and nurturing sport talent, who were promised stadiums per county up to date. So Kenya Kwanza comes out because at the end of the day, Ruto has had the opportunity to deliver on these promises and he's failed. Raila has never really had the opportunity to sit on the seat and do so. Right. And the fact that the candidate of the deputy president designate, Martha Karua, inspires a lot of confidence. So for me, the issue is no longer about what the manifesto papers hold, but it's what the character of the person promising them does. So,
Ruth, Steve is saying that it's more about the track record, the integrity of the individual making the promises, and less about the statements of intent in the manifestos that have been launched this month, well, last month, I should say. What do you make of these commitments to fight corruption from either side? We heard the Deputy President, William Ruto, talking about financial independence for EACC, for the judiciary as well. Do you find some of these commitments inspiring confidence at all?
I think, Vicky, I have to, first of all, thank you for having me, and my apologies, I'm on the road. I have to agree with Steve 100%. On this, it's just a language that has been changed from, we promise that in 5 years, we promise in 2 years, we commit. So it's simply the same thing, but just that the language has been changed. However, what he talks about the track record is also quite strong. We've known from time and time again that the manifestos are basically just to
agree that, you guys are going to use. However, the details of how we are going to tackle particular issues have never really been very direct. We've never really had concrete solutions. And I think that is why, as Steve was saying, Wajakoya is really, taking the limelight on this issue, because he's very detailed as to how he is going to sort out this issue that a number of Kenyans deem to be, one of the vices. So on this, it's more about the individual and less about the words. I think Kenyans are getting past a stage where we now just believe on the words that are mentioned. And I think that's one of the things that has really given the Azimio coalition a boost, because of the kind of running mate that they chose and the track record she has, as well as what she has, what she has been championing on matters governance.
All right, let's quickly move to the issue of social protection. Both sides, at least Azimio and Kenya Kwanza, have shown a commitment to boosting or elevating people who are living at the bottom of the pyramid. So we've seen Azimio saying, 6,000 shilling cash transfer to at least 2 million poor families, social assistance to single mothers, and then, of course, support of unemployed youth. Kenya Kwanza, on the other hand, revamping the cash transfer program for vulnerable households, and targeting at least 1.8 million elderly Kenyans, and then attaining 100% NHIF cover for senior citizens within 3 years. Many have said, at least from what they've seen from the Kenya Kwanza team, is more detail in terms of their commitment. What do you make of what has come out from Kenya Kwanza vis-a-vis what Azimio has said in terms of social protection?
For me, first and foremost, the question about social protection is one of the biggest conversations that Kenyans need to have, because we're not really looking deeply into it. When your house girl works for you for 10 years, then she retires and goes back to the village, what happens to her? When the watchmen come to Nairobi to work and then they go back to the village after 10 years, what happens to them? So for me, I think the Azimio side has a more detailed plan on how to address the issue of social protection, because currently what I know is that the Azimio team will plan to actually just expound on what's currently happening, because currently the government is doing, I think, 4,800 to vulnerable people and households. So just increasing the money from 4,800 to 6,000. And Azimio side has actually been very critical and saying that they know where they're going to get the funding from. And that is a critical aspect. Where are you going to get the money to sustain this? Kenya Kwanza saying that everyone will have a universal health coverage at the end of the day begs the question, where are you going to get the money from? Because one, if you look at the manifesto, the term fund appears 60 times. And we know the role of government is to actually create an enabling environment for the people to thrive. We don't want free things, to be honest. I want an environment whereby I can be able to work for myself and my family and my extended family at the end of the day. Kenya Kwanza is basically promising fund this, fund that, fund this, fund that. At the end of the day, where are they going to get the money to actually make this? And I go back to my previous point. It narrows down to the character of the person promising. If I'm trying to date you, I'll promise you a lot of things. But when the rubber meets the road, you'll actually see whether Biko is actually a trusted person or not. And that is what we're seeing between Raila and Ruto. At the end of the day, what gives Azimio the boost is because of the character of the people they're running with. The other day, the DP designate for Kenya Kwanza said that he will get back his money that current government is holding in frozen accounts, build a home for women to come and drink porridge. He's not looking at corruption. He's not talking about exonerating himself from the allegations. So we realize that Kenya Kwanza side actually leave a lot in terms of how they will be able to implement these positions.